questions to ask, right? A campaign with the confidence rising. I told WDF don't switch, good times are coming, don't even deep diving. Fan cams, reactions, watch along, still the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South, they flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
Yes, guys, welcome back to TACT-EAGLE, the show where we talk about all the tactics for the upcoming game. This next game is going to be against Everton at Selhurst Park. As you guys are probably well aware by now, this is a pre-record. We are doing this on the Monday, so if anything happens between now and Wednesday, then you know why we haven't spoken about it. But as always, I'm joined here with Mr. Statman Dan. How you doing?
Yeah, all good. Just want to say thank you for moving it to a Monday. Because I can't do Wednesday this week. But yeah, how you doing?
All good. Was doing a nice little work from home day, and then we had a power cut somewhere, so I had to rush off out and have a bad.
Okay, right. That's quite long.
Yeah, it's very long. But guys, we're not here to talk about our personal lives. We're here to talk about how we can get some points from Everton. Let's go straight into the predicted 11. So, as we can see, I have gone for almost the same team for us. Let me just move Mitchell down a bit because you can't really see him. Same thing with Wardy. All right. So, for me, I think after seeing the performances that we put in place, that Hughes just isn't a 10. And I don't think we can force it anymore. Eder's got some minutes, and I think that if he's been training as much as Hodgson says he has been, and he'll have a whole another week of training and fitness, I think he probably should be ready to start. So, I've gone with Johnstone in goal, with Mitchell, Gay, Anderson and Ward as the backline, with Lerma and Decore in the pivot, with Schlupp on the left, Ebbs in the middle, Ayew on the right, and Edouard up top. Our injuries only consist of Michael Elise, but he's potentially going to be on the bench. James Tompkins, Jezrat Saki, apparently he's picked up a pretty bad hamstring injury, so not really knowing how long he's going to be out for, and Dean Henderson. Would you make any changes to that lineup, mate?
No, I think that's exactly what I went.
Cool. So Everton, very dice, I have to say. Very, very dice. And they sort of play like a 4-5-1, but the one is Decore, who plays as like an attacking midfielder. He ain't an attacking midfielder, but whatever he's doing it very well. So I have gone with Pickford, Mikalenko, Branwaith, Tarski, Young, Harrison, who's a great player, Garner, Gay, Decore, McNeil, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Obviously, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is injured all season, but he can always play 2 games against Crystal Palace a season. Their injuries are Dele Alli, Andre Gomez, Onana, which is going to be a big one, a big miss for them, and Seamus Coleman. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, I went with very, very similar, although I forgot that Onana was... I even literally looked at the injuries before I did it, and I forgot that Onana is potentially injured. So yeah, that's basically why I went.
Well, if Onana plays, it'll be him in for Garner.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Cool. Normally we go with the defense first, so I think we'll stick to that. So let's go to how, I guess, good or bad Everton's defense is. Okay, so I'm doing a bit of a madness today. I can't lie.
Professional.
We've got the laptop tablet thing. So I can actually click with my fingers today. Pause. I don't know if there's a pause. I'm just making sure though.
I wouldn't. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't have called that a pause. That would have gone over my head.
Yeah, that would have been a bit of a mad one.
I'm just.
Okay.
What do you think about this screen layout? Because I'm just thinking if it cuts off the top.
Oh, it only done that because oops. Oh. It only done that because of my stupidness.
Oh, fair.
So I just zoomed it in. That's the only reason why. So I thought if I zoomed it in a bit
got
more.
ya. Yeah.
But like, you see how it's not zoomed in now?
Yeah. No, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
That's the only thing. Okay, so what we've got here is something that Everton like to do. They like to form up in a very solid backline. So you see the 4 here, the solid 2, the 1 that goes in front, but sometimes that sort of drops into a 3 when they're pressing the ball, and a 1. So in attack, it's very much like our kind of formation. But even though I may be treading on Dan's toes already before I even start, they press from the front incredibly well. If the ball's over here, so they've got many different press triggers, for example. So against Brighton, they knew that the person who's playing left back isn't Estupinian, and he's not very good with any foot other than his right foot. If you're playing left back, a right-footed left back, what are they going to do? They're going to push you down the line. So let's say Mitchell's right-footed. I wish he was, but he's not. Let's say in this example, Mitchell's right-footed. What Harrison would do is he'd press, but he'd press to about here. And then Calvert-Lewin will come over, and then McNeil, and then they'd sort of set up in sort of this kind of press. And obviously, because their guy is right-footed, his right foot, he wants to pass inside, but they're showing him out wide. They are very good at doing research on the player and making sure that you only attack their weakness. So, for example, with Mitchell, instead of pressing the inside, he'll hold the outside. Similar sort of setup, but they'll hold the outside, so you can't hook the ball round because Young will be on Schlupp. He can't hook the ball in because Gay will be there, for example. With their different triggers, obviously it's different for different kinds of players. So if it's someone who's got a good passing range and they know that, they'll only commit one player forwards, for example. So if it's Anderson, they know he's, I guess, press resistant, let's say. They won't flood forwards with like 3 or 4 players. They'll only push one forward. And they do it a lot. They've had a lot of times this season where they've actually won the ball up the pitch, one pass and a shot. Granted, most of the time they've done that, they haven't actually scored, but it's always led to the goalkeeper having to make a good save. So, for example, with Anderson, who's probably press resistant, they'd only commit one guy forwards, and then everyone else would pick up their man or pick up a good space. However, if the ball was over at Ward, that's a different question. Everyone would, not everyone, obviously, but a lot more players would flood forwards, and they would sort of be in this kind of situation. They'll go man for man, make sure that they can't get out unless they hump the ball long. And if that happens, they've got centre-backs to deal with it. Brandwaite, been brilliant so far this season for a young player. Tarkowski, Premier League experience, done it for Burnley. And what were Burnley best at? Heading the ball away. Getting it out there, no nonsense. If the ball's coming in the air, just get it out. So obviously they got different press triggers. They're very good at pressing up front, and it's funny because Sean Dyche has left Burnley, and Burnley's physicality and everything has just gone downhill.
Yeah,
we
saw that on Saturday, didn't we? Yeah,
he's turned up at Everton, and he's basically made Everton into Burnley again. Everyone is extremely physical. He plays the exact same way. He's got his exact same players in McNeil and Tarkowski. like he's just done Burnley again, isn't he?
Yeah,
Really?
basically, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is basically like Ashley Barnes.
Ashley Barnes,
Pickford's like Pope.
Pickford's Pope, and then you got mate. I can't even. And then what? Garner Gay's Brownhill, like. Tell me there ain't no real like similarities here.
No,
It is
definitely.
crazy. But how they play when they defend is so solid and so rigid. It reminds me of Prime Roy. Prime Roy. So let's make a scenario here. Let's say that Schlupp's breaking into the box. That would be a joke, but he actually done it last week, so I'm not going to laugh this time. So let's say that Ayu's got the ball and he's absolutely blistering down the wing. What will happen is their backline will become very tight, very compact. But what will happen is, let me just get these people into position. What will happen is that Decore, being the 10, is in a more sort of free role when defending, if that makes sense. So if Ayu's running down the wing, McNeil will be the one that goes out and presses him. And if the ball's coming down this side, Decore will slot in here, where you see a bank of four, and then you got these two on the man.
Mm-hmm.
Ayu will go down the wing. If he runs it to the byline like he normally does, McNeil will fill in here, and they will end up as a 5 at the back. They will use their winger as an extra fullback, sort of like what Townsend used to do for us.
Mm-hmm.
Under Roy, as I said, under Prime Roy. And by doing this, there's no half space in the middle, so you can't really work your way through it. Straight down as well, there's no spaces in between, and they've still got a Calvert-Lewin which will run and press. And obviously, he's not the fastest guy in the world, but he's still like 6'2". He's still strong, and he's not afraid to put his weight around. He's not like one of them. He's not like Mateta, who's just afraid to put his weight about. He will get about, he'll get into you, and he'll make it hard for you. Pause.
Yeah. Hey.
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
One thing they do like is if they are on the break and the ball so let's say we're up. We're around here. We're doing a madness. Let's say, oh, come on, man. Yeah. Let's say Anson's got the ball here. We're on the attack. They're in a good defensive shape. And Anderson absolutely pings a ball over here to Schlupp, who might be holding the wing. What's going to happen here is if Harrison is still following that ball and he's out of the way, Garner and Gay, they won't come over. They'll do what Decore and Lerm do. They'll sit in the middle and protect the backline from the front. But what they do like to do is they like to trust their fullbacks with one-on-one defending.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is even though it's Ashley Young on this side, but Mikolenko is probably even better than Ashley Young, they will actually back their fullback to do the one-on-one defending. Sean Dyche gives them that kind of the feeling that they can do it and the confidence to do it as well. So you've seen it many times where what Kolyosha was actually doing to Ward. He'd come out wide, the ball come in, Wardy would stand off him, and then obviously pick up the ball and run forwards. But in our case, we want Ward to get stuck in straight away. However, with what Dyche wants to do, he actually doesn't mind them picking up the ball and driving inside, because he knows that he's got so many, like look right here, 9 bodies in the box. He knows that if you're going to thread the ball through there, it's got to be an absolute miracle strike, and he's not afraid to do that. Because what if Schlupp's coming through here? Where's he going to go? He's either going to pass it straight back, or he's going to go to the byline, and then guess what? Tarowski, Braithwaite, Gay, Garner, they could all head it out, the cross. They can all deal with it. So that is one of the ways that they like defending. They like putting a lot of emphasis on one-on-ones and putting a lot of faith in their players. one thing that is a bit surprising, considering that they are, I guess, the new Burnley, defensive set pieces, they're a bit all over the place.
Okay.
I'll go through it a bit more when we've got the pictures. But if you look at the goal that was disallowed for Brighton, the one that Dunk scored, they were all over the place. Really, they were all over the place. But you'll see it in a second when I show you the images. In the box, they like to go man for man. I'll also display that in the images as well. But basically, if someone's counter-attacking against them, they will pick up their man 1-for-1. And what they like to do is, if they can't pick up 1-for-1, they'll overload the ball. So if the player's down the wing, they can't get one-on-one, they'll overload the ball and try and make the player on the break make a bad decision. Sort of like with pressure, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can't do it, they'll try and zonally mark. Granted, when they do that, it doesn't work all the time, but they're still trying to cover as much space with as little men as possible. And one thing that is a bit strange is that if they're retreating on the counter-attack, these lines, which are so close together, if they're under pressure, they have miles apart. So there was a time where Jared Bowen ran down, I think, was it Bowen? No, it was Paqueta. Paqueta basically chipped the ball over the fullback. He was in this space in behind here. The centre backs basically ran past the ball. Like the keeper was standing further out than the centre backs. And honestly, there was about this much space in the box. And granted, their striker, West Ham striker Antonio done the right thing. He just beelined it straight into the goal. But Jared Bowen literally just popped up inside, ball in, no one on him. He fluffed his lines drastically, but honestly, it was a free shot on goal. If he had his shooting boots on, easy goal. But their main thing is pressing from the front, overloading the ball, trusting your man with one-on-one defending, and that's about it. Let's go through some images. Let's put the thing down. My laptop's getting hot. Okay, so this is one I was talking about with set pieces. So this ball, so see, the line is very good, very straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Everyone's behind the ball here. Great. The line's all over the place now. No, look, he's lost his man. He's lost his man. He's sort of in area. These guys are in no man's land. Dunker's just absolutely gotten away from everyone.
Yeah, considering the amount of players they got back, for Dunk to just get a free header in that.
Literally, Dunk came through here. Look, he's in no man's land. He's holding off to get a good shot on later. And look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players are in the vicinity of Dunk, and no one's picked him up.
Even like they're 28 there. Like, if Dunk doesn't shoot that, he could quite easily just
definitely
try and kick that.
He could nod it onto him, and he could have a shot. If the ball's a bit too deep, for example, he could hit it back to Matoma, who's in no man's land, who could pass it around here, and then they recycle and they go all over again. But their defensive set pieces are actually all over the place, which I was really surprised at when looking at it.
I think I could be wrong, but I think they have scored they've conceded a couple of goals from corners this season.
Yeah, they have. Here, as you can see, Onana, the winger, and then the back four, 1, 2, 3, and then the last one's off the screen, with Garner picking up the space and Decore over here. So they're going man for man, aren't they? Here, he's a bit far off, but you know what can you do? If his eyes are over here, he's looking to come over and defend this ball. Man for man, man for man, man for man. They've done it great here. Absolute overload in their half. Matoma beats the man 1v1.
I think that's Ashley Young there, 18.
Yeah, it is. Beats the man, pulls the ball straight back. And remember what I said? He's gone to the touchline. 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 And even this guy from right here, he's gone all the way to the touchline. This is literally 2 seconds after that last image. Everyone's ran straight into the goal and off the pitch. And he's just run straight onto it and went bang, straight in the goal. I think he missed. It came off one of the defenders and missed. But still,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players here.
I feel
And
like
the
this
ball-
was. Sorry, I was going to say, I feel like this is something again like Dyche did at Burnley. Like he's very happy to try and get his players to run out like that and block the ball.
He is, and it works. But if, for example, the team is maybe a bit more comfortable and a lot less rash in a decision like this. So, for example, if this player here was standing in front of the man, nice little ball there, bang, free goal.
Yeah.
For example,
I completely agree. Yeah.
If we've got a bit of composure about ourselves in this kind of situation, we could have I wouldn't say a free goal, but a lot of goal to shoot at.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
I would say this part of the goal here, right now, from this position, is just not feasible. Whereas if you could slot it in here, this whole part of the goal is free. Literally. Next up here. So this is a ball that is being floated over. So I think the ball's just come here and they're hitting it out to the wing. And I wanted to highlight it because you can see this is Harrison. This is Young. So you'll see that Harrison makes the run over to the area and they'll make a nice back five. So you see right now is 1, 2, 3, 4 with the 1, 2, 3 in midfield, and he would be there, but he's obviously making the run, and then the 2 up front. You see, Harrison's now here, and then 1, 2, 3, and then the rest of them are off the pitch, off the picture, I mean. And look, they've got another overload here. Trusting with a 1v1 here. I don't really know what's happening with this guy right now, but I wouldn't say they're tight enough to him. I'd probably say that he should back up a bit and he should just stay whereabouts he is right now. Matoma, obviously. What's the difference between that? 2 seconds, 3 seconds? All the bodies in the box. Wow. Everyone's in the box here. There's only one player outside of the box in this image, and that's Calvert-Lewin. They did get extremely unlucky because I think he hit the ball, it deflected up and went in the goal like this.
Oh, that was the goal. Yeah.
Very unlucky, but still, man for man, 2-on-1, man for man. He's clear, man for man. So they try and go man for man in the box as much as possible, and it is effective. This was a very lucky goal.
Yeah,
I don't want to quote Lampard here, but it factually is a very lucky goal.
Yeah.
And they've done everything they could. This is one where they were pressing up high. You see the trigger? I think that was the guy that I used spun, Jordan. They could tell that he wasn't comfortable on the ball. Calvert-Lewin, straight up. Decore is already on the run because he knows that he's going to pass here. He's trying to cut that line. He's already going to cut that line, and he's already man for man. He literally, I think is the next image it? No. But basically, the ball gets picked up here, takes one bit of a heavy touch, and has a shot that goes over the bar. And he's in behind. He's gone through. So they've got different triggers for different kind of players. They knew he's not good on the ball, so they pressed him straight away. This is what I was saying with man for man in the box. I think this is perfectly done. 1, 1, 1, 1. And Tarski is the one that booted the ball away. I think that's the ball here, flying. Overload. Great clearance from him. I think this goes out for a throw-in at near enough the halfway line, but they've done exactly what they need to do. Keep the ball away, keep the men up, and, do a job. This is one I was telling you about. Paqueta on the ball here. They're trusting the right back here to do a job. Paqueta literally dinks the ball over him, runs in behind, and then remember what I said about that space in between the centre-backs and the midfielders? No joke, Paqueta literally just threads the ball all the way through here because these guys run past, and these guys basically stop in their tracks here.
Yeah.
Look at Bowen's got the ball here. Look at the space in the box there, and he's so far over to this one side in the goal. Anything in that corner, and it's a goal, but he messes it up. Finally, just another example of pressing from the front. They nick the ball here. He turns. Garner runs through. They have a shot on goal, and they miss. But they're very happy to press from the front. Because of all of this, I'm gonna give you some stats. Forgive me, Dan. I think these are this is one, I guess, attacking stat that you might talk about. But because of this and pressing and having a lot more shots, they've had more shots than Spurs this season, and they've actually got a higher XG than Tottenham this year.
Yeah, no, they've been. To be honest, I honestly think, and we'll talk about a bit more in the attacking bit, but I honestly think if Calvert-Lewin had been available for more minutes this season, I genuinely think they would be higher up the table. I don't think they really deserve to be fifth bottom, to be honest.
Oh,
I
fully agree.
I think they're fifth bottom, but but I know a lot of people are putting them down as possibly getting relegated this season. But honestly, I can't see that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, they're doing very well. Let us go to the attack.
Okay, so carrying on from a very Sean Dyche defensive display, we're going to go on to a very Sean Dyche attacking display. So there we go. Oh, sorry. Apologies. I've done it again. we can edit that one out.
I mean, we might not.
No, leave it. So as you can see, ignore that I've got Pats in there. Oh, you know what? I was about to say Burnley then. I was about to say Burnley.
Well, like I said, that Everton is Burnley now.
Literally, honestly. So the things that you should know about it. I mean, I wouldn't say there's a huge. It's not complex. Like I'm not gonna lie to anyone. Like it's not complex. And generally speaking, there's going to be very few times when, unless we allow them to, I think there's going to be very few times like we're in a low block against them like this. I feel like this is something that will rarely happen unless we try and force them to. And the reason why I say this is because I don't think they're very good against low blocks. They're very much like a counter-attacking team and a team that will try and catch you in a transition. So the question is, well, how do they manufacture those kind of positions? Well, the first thing to kind of notice is, okay, let's say that they've got a goal kick or whatever. Pretty much always they will kick it long. Now the good thing with them, and this is why I kind of alluded to Pickford being like Nick Pope. Or at least when Nick Pope played for Burnley, is that the distribution is very good. Like they do have very accurate goal kicks, I tend to think, or at least they're good at putting them in the areas that Sean Dyche wants. So generally speaking, that area is going to be where's my shapes? I don't know. There we go. So generally speaking, he's going to be kicking it to these kind of areas. The only time really he's not going to kick it straight away is when he might pass it to Tarkowski and then pass it back and then they kick it long. I think sometimes they do that to try and draw the players a bit further forwards. And the reason why they do that is because they try to kick it in this area. And like JC said earlier, Calvert-Lewin is a big guy and he's really, really good at holding up the ball. No, I think Calvert-Lewin would be, if it wasn't for his injuries, I think he'd be fantastic for us because that's the kind of thing that we lack, I think. like someone who's just able to hold up the ball really well. And what they'll try to do as well is that they'll try to make sure that there's players around Calvert-Lewin as well, so that if Calvert-Lewin does win the ball, say, and they've got players to then play it off of. So then you've got Garner, you've got Decore, and similarly to how Decore is in defence, he's all over the place in attack as well. So if it was over here, Decore would be over here supporting. If Calvert-Lewin's over there, Decore would be over here. He's got another free role. And the thing is about this as well, and this isn't just from goal kicks, like say they do win the ball like quite deep, they will also like kick it long, pretty much to the same kind of place and try to do the same thing. But this has got a double edge to it, in that the thing is they've already progressed. Like let's say they do kick it long, and let's say Anderson does actually win this header. Let's say, unless Anderson's got an absolute monster header, like the ball's only going to fall like about here. So even if like say one of our players does pick it up, like they're still quite far away from their goal. So it's got a double of like, it just helps them to progress the ball, even if they don't necessarily win the header or the duel or whatever. But it also does help them defensively. And obviously if they do win the header, then that's even better. And then what they'll try to do, so let's just say it's a bit deeper, because this is probably more the position it would happen in. So let's say Calvert-Lewin does win that header. Decore and Onana or whoever, sometimes it's Garner, sometimes Harrison comes inside a bit, or McNeil comes inside a bit. He'll win that, and then he'll try to lay that off. Another thing that they do like to do is that when they're in these kind of positions, they're very happy to, and again, this is something that Calvert-Lewin is really good at, is trying to run behind. Generally speaking, they'll try to do this if they win the ball in this midfield area. So like JC said about the press, if they don't win it high, there's a good chance they'll win it in the midfield, and then they'll try to transition really quickly. And generally that involves some sort of ball in behind.
Yeah, bear in mind with what everything Dan is saying right now, that Everton's average percentage of possession this whole season is 39%.
Yeah, so
with all that they're doing it very quickly. They don't have the ball very much, but they make a lot of chances out of not a lot of possession.
No, exactly. And I mean, they've had the fourth fewest touches in the league so far this season. So yeah, I guess that tells you what you need to know. And I mean, also as well, the fact that if you look at their passing, so let's say, so in terms of attempted passes, they're fourth bottom in the league so far. Short passes, fifth bottom. Medium passes, which are passes that are between 15 to 30 yards, they're third bottom. But Everton attempted passes, they're top of the league. So I think that kind of shows what they do like to try and do.
What's
And the fact
pass
that
completion, do you know?
For what, overall, or
yeah,
overall they're third bottom, 73%. But I will say a lot of that is because they do attempt so many long passes. So like their long pass completion rate is only 47%. So, but to be honest, that still translates to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're still the eighth. They've still completed the eighth most long passes. So any pass that's longer than 30 yards. So they're still eighth, but that's because they just have so many.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that just shows, I guess, like how direct they can be. And again, in terms of total distance passed, they're fourth bottom. But in terms of those passes that are progressive, they're not fourth bottom. They're sort of about, I think that's about 13th. So they are quite direct. And if this isn't on, this generally what they'll do is that they'll try to kick it down the wing as well. So let's say, I don't know, let's say we're in this position and Mikalenko's got the ball. They're happy to either try to pass it to, try and pass it down the line to McNeil, by which way a lot of their players will actually come over and try and support. Like Onana and Ghana generally try to support. They're not a team that will get this and then they'll look for a switch. They don't switch the ball very often at all. But they'll try and kick it down the line, and then they'll try to have their winger try to get beyond the player. Again, similar to how they defend, they're happy to try to do one-on-ones, and McNeil especially is quite good at the one-on-ones, at least statistically anyway. And then what they'll try to do is that they'll try to get the ball into where they really like to get the ball into is like this kind of area. As in their players, they want their players to get the ball into like these kind of areas. And the way they do that is, let's say McNeil's got the ball there, Mykolenko will overlap. Like their fullbacks will overlap, especially on that side. I wouldn't say their right back would overlap at the same time. I think if they're on the left-hand side, their right will be a little bit withdrawn. And vice versa. If they're attacking down the right, their left-hand side will be a little bit withdrawn. But that's how they like to do it. They try to get like overloads on the wing. And sometimes that Calvert-Lewin sometimes gets involved, but he tends to stay more in the middle. The reason why he does that is so he can pin that defence. So if he's standing there, Mark Gay's got to mark him. And because he's got to mark him, like Anderson can't come over here because that'd be silly. And so let's say that they do get the ball in that area. Well, what happens then is that we'll be in this position, and then if they're in this area, they will obviously cross the ball. In this area, they tend to low cross it, and again, they'll commit players into this area as well. They are good at committing players at the right time into the box. And yeah, in this position, it'll tend to be like a low cross. When it tends to be maybe like a slightly higher cross is if, let's say, it's more like this. So like, say like Mykolenko's actually got to like beat Ward or something like that, or vice versa. McNeil's actually got to beat the right back or something. That's when they'll tend to kick it high, do like more of a high cross. But generally speaking, they'll get in those positions and they'll do a low cross if they can. And I mean, they do cross it a lot. They've got the third most crosses in the league, which, considering they've made the fourth fewest passes, that's a lot of crosses. And also they're also very good at doing it too, because they complete the fourth most crosses as well. So that's how they tend to do it. And what I notice is that their shot creating action. So shot creating action, if you don't know, is basically the two things that happened before a shot was taken. That could be a dribble, it could be a foul, it could be some sort of tackle, could be a pass, whatever. They have the third most shot creating actions from taking shots. So I think what they do also try to do is that they try to cause some chaos in the box. So let's say they were in that position and McNeil crosses it. Doucouré will try to hit it first time to try and catch Sam Johnston, like maybe off guard a bit, and then Calvert-Lewin's there to react. And that's something that is universal across their attack. So whatever position you're in, so even say it was like a high cross, they'll try to get, say, Doucouré onto it, have a shot, and then hopefully they'll either get it on target to make Sam Johnson do something, or they'll score or something like that. That's what generally they try to do. And to be honest, that's kind of it. Basically, all they try to do is catch you on transitions on a counter attack. And I'll show you some examples of that. They're very good at exploiting space on those attacks as well, which again I'll show later. But also as well, they just like to kick it long into areas where there's lots of them around, so then they can win the second balls, or at the very least, it's progressed up the pitch. Another thing to note is their set pieces. Whilst defensively they're not as good, in terms of their attack, they are good. So, for example, they've where is it? So, for example, they've scored the joint second most corners this season. They've scored 4 corners. The only teams who have equaled them or are better are Man City and Arsenal. So,
Well, yeah,
that shows,
they've scored 11 goals all season, 6 from open play and 5 from set pieces.
yeah, well, there you go, exactly. So they are definitely that team. I mean, I obviously like is something that we should watch out for, but I am relatively confident with that just because defensively we are pretty decent. And that's it really. There isn't really they like to mix up their corner taking a little bit. Sometimes they'll get someone to run to the far post and try and flick it on. Sometimes that person will make the run, but they don't kick it for them to try and flick it on. So it's more of like a decoy. Also, as well, they're just very good in the air. I mean, they've got, in terms of their aerial duels won, they're the 4th best in the league this season. So, you know, they are very good at doing that. And that's to summarize what they generally tend to do. So I'll show some examples now. Again, I haven't got loads. Yeah, so let me just get this up. So share screen, window. Okay, so first thing to look at is, sorry, my file explorer is not there. Apologies. So first thing I want to talk about is just counters. So this was an example of a counter attack against Sheffield United. So they win the ball. Not there. They win the ball here. So they win the ball in this area. Actually, let me get red. Let me get the red out. Oh, that's not red. That's grey. Let me get the red out. So they win the ball there, and immediately you can see these players running already. This player here, not all of them are that bothered. Like, they're not bothered. I don't think he's that bothered. But they run. And
he's bothered now, though. Look.
Well, yeah, but all they've done is then kick that ball to that player there. So I think that was, I think that's Dan Juma. They kicked it out to Dan Juma over there. But again, you can see all these players. I mean, admittedly, like, the defending from Sheffield United is terrible. But yeah, like, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 versus 2. I don't think there's a Sheffield United player out the picture there. So that is what it is. And again, you can see it. And they are very good at exploiting the space. I can't remember exactly what happened here, but you'll see an example of that in a minute. And then, oh yeah, I don't know why I've done that like that. But anyway, so, oh no, apologies. My bad, I've opened the wrong one. Come to that in a minute. So that's defending against them. So this is just a couple of bits. So this is the off the ball movement one. So actually no, sorry, let's do this counter attack. So the way they like to counter attack is they do like to try and have it 3-pronged like that. So it just gives it, I think, just because it opens the space a bit more. Like, these players have to be a little bit wider rather than quite narrow. Otherwise, they're just going to run there and then they're going to receive the ball. And they are very good at using half spaces in these counter attacks. So again, they win the ball here. I think there's 3 Bournemouth players there, and I guess there's 4 there. They win the ball. This player pops it out to here. Manil runs into that space, and then as soon as he wins that, I think Decore was the one who passed him in the first place. As soon as Decore passed it, he runs in that gap. So in this gap between the right back and the centre back. And what's really clever is that and this is why Dominic Calvert-Lewin is so important, is that he's there pinning that defender back. Because admittedly, I think 29 could do a little bit better here, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin's there. So what that means is that this player can't come over and help him, because otherwise he'll leave him free. And again, that's what happens. He ends up running past this. Dwight Manil is what I said. He's good at one-on-ones. He ends up running past him, running down the wing. And then again, what Decore's run has also done has meant that the other player can't really go over. Otherwise, he's going to leave him free. And again, Dominic Calvert-Lewin there again, pinning them behind. So on the counter attack, they do use that space very well. What other things? So this is apologies. So there was more of that. It just opened in a really weird way. And then so they went down here and then just crossed the ball into the box. Can't remember exactly what happened, but I think they got a shot off. This was the goal. So I can't remember if I said, but Everton have the most shot creating actions in the league from defensive actions. So whether that's a tackle or an interception or whatever. So basically, they made a tackle and interception, and then within two things, so whether that's a dribble or a pass, they then had a shot. So that's how quick they are and how direct they are. So they win the ball here. They run down the wing, and then again, this is what I was saying. They do use the space very well. Again, between the fullback and the centre back, Mike Dwight-McNeil's made that run. I can't remember exactly what happens here, but they do score. But you've got Calvert-Lewin who's there. He could bring that back here. You've even got Decore coming in there to have a shot. And then that's it. Oh, that was it. Sorry. So he ends up running to the byline, dinking it over the top, and then Harrison's actually at the back post. Again, Calvert-Lewin, very important there. He's pinning that defender. So so Harrison come in behind and finish into an empty goal. And then again, they're very good with their off the ball movement if they try and work the wings. So so the ball's here. This player is going to try and ping it into there. Decore comes in and then immediately lays it off to this player here. Turns the player, and then this player has already immediately ran. And so just literally plays that ball. Again, not great defending, but still it's something that they did. I don't think this was actually a goal, but obviously that's a very dangerous position to be in. You could pass it there, again, dink it over the top. I mean, there's not another player coming in, but on another day, maybe there is another player coming in here. It's a very dangerous situation to have created. I think I've got one more of theirs, and then just a quick how we can, what other teams did to kind of do that. They like to cut inside as well. So if that option isn't on, they're happy to cut inside and try and cause chaos in the middle. Again, like they try to have, I know Calvert-Lewin's over here, but they do like to have players in the middle here to try and, I think it's to try and draw the defending team into the middle, and then they can go wide and then cross it in. That's what I think. But yeah. Finally, how can we defend against it? So I've just got two examples of what other teams did to defend against it. So this is against West Ham. They didn't, to be honest, they still created chances, and this was probably the best game, the toughest in terms of trying to create chances. I thought Everton, this was probably one of the fewer chances they created that wasn't like a team that wasn't one of the big six, basically. So they still create chances in this game. So I imagine they'll create chances against us. But this was West Ham's block. They kind of allowed them in this space, and they allowed them on the ball. They stopped any progression through the middle by just having the players in the right places, coming out. It forced them back, and then again, Jared Bowen here is watching this player and that player, reacts quickly. So as soon as Tarkowski passes that into, I think that's Decore, he's ready to be there and try and win it. I think Decore does get the ball, but he has to pass it back immediately. So this is what I'm trying to say. Burnley aren't that great on the ball. Why they didn't kick it long, I think
Everton.
West Ham's defenders are good in the air as well. Anyway, did I say Burnley?
Yep.
Everton, why Everton didn't kick it long is I don't know, but I think one, West Ham's defenders are good in the air anyway, and two, I don't really know. I'm not sure why, but they didn't for whatever reason. And then finally, defending transitions. They just again blocked off, because I think when Burnley are transitioning, once they won the ball like in the middle, I think they like to progress through the middle. They will progress on the wing, but I think they prefer to go through the middle. And what this West Ham player here is doing is basically stopping that ball to Calvert-Lewin. So again, and then just closing that space. Decore does take some heavy touches, and then he doesn't win that ball. So that's what I would say is kind of to summarize what we could do. I think one, I'm not going to say let them have the ball, but I think they're not very good with the ball. And I think we can catch them out in that central midfield area if we just time a press right. And I think as well, we just need to watch our men and make sure that they're not overloading us on the wings. I'm quite confident as well about the left-hand side. I think if Calvert-Lewin or Gay, if Calvert-Lewin is pulling to the right-hand side, so it's our left-hand side, I think Mark Gay and Ty Mitchell would have that relatively covered well. And alongside Lerma as well, that's 3 good defensive players on that side of the pitch. So I think if we can try and force them down that side, so I don't know, let's say when they've got the ball, we block off the route to their left back. I think to Mikalenko, I think that would be a good idea. That's what I would say. But again, there's nothing really too crazy there. We just got to make sure that we are also surrounding when they kid it long, we know they're going to go for Decore and Calvert-Lewin, and they're going to be roughly in the same area. We need to make sure like Decore and Lerma our midfield is narrow so that we can try and win the ball in that instant. And then if they then do kick it wide, then yeah, sure, we can come wide and stuff. But because they don't tend to switch it very often, I think we can afford to have more players on that side of the pitch if they do decide to say go down the right-hand side. So that's what personally I would suggest. Obviously set pieces as well, but I mean they've got good heads of the ball. We've got to make sure we mark tightly, make sure the front post is covered and stuff like that. So
cool. Score predictions. I threw myself under the bus last week, so I'll throw you now.
I was debating between. My initial thought was a 1-1, but I'll go with a 2-1, and that's what I'll go with in prediction. So,
funny enough, I was going to go 1-1.
I think we don't really have a great record against Everton. So
yeah, that's what I'm mainly basing it off of. I know that some people are saying they want to get revenge of what happened, but I feel like you can only get that kind of revenge at their place.
Yeah.
So I think even if we win at Selhurst, I don't think it really makes up for it until we actually win at their place. But as you said, dreadful record against Everton in our history. I think the only time I actually remember us beating Everton was in the Cup under Vieira, really. I don't really remember any other time. It's just been 0-0s, 1-0s.
That is a good point. Let me just quickly Google that.
I reckon it's just pure draws. That's all I can remember. I think we might have beaten them 1-0 once a few years ago.
We beat them 3-1 in 2021, apparently, but was that COVID that no one remembers?
COVID football don't exist, man.
Yeah, but before that, the last time we beat them in 2014 a couple of times. So we've beaten them 4 times in the Premier League since we came up.
Yeah, so I reckon, because even though Eze is back, I'd still say our attack isn't fully there. And bear in mind that I'm probably going to say that Eze is not fully fit yet as well. So I'll go with a 1-1. I'd happily take a point in this game, considering our history against Everton. And also we have got other games coming up where we could also get points from as well. So not getting full points in this game isn't going to be the end of the world. However, it would be nice to get them anyway. Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, like I worked out the other day that we're currently averaging 1.36 points per game, which
That's good.
for us is very good. I mean, that's why we find ourselves 12th at the end of the day. Like, for example, if you 10th, sorry, not 12th. I was just so used to it. Like, let's say, like, and if we extrapolate that for the rest of the season, that will take us on to about 52 points.
That'll be our record finish.
That would be one, our record finish, and two, that last season would have got you top 10. So, well, but that would have got you top 10. And I think that would be, considering we've had so many injuries, I think we've done very well, and we haven't had easy games either. Like, we played 3 of the top 6 plus Newcastle away plus Aston Villa away, so we have done very well. And I think what will it hopefully exemplify that if we get, say, 3 wins out of these, at least about 3 wins out of these 5 games, like, we're laughing.
Cool. I think that covers everything. Do you agree, Dan, or is there anything else?
Yeah, I'm all good.
Cool. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of TACT-EAGLE. Obviously, I like doing the show. I'm sure Dan does as well.
Absolutely.
So put in the comments what you thought of this episode, and if you think I should keep using my laptop when doing the stats or the little tactics board. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week at the Palace.
Eagles.
Eagles.